So I just turned 24 and I'm feeling like I'm getting old. And I know that sounds really ridiculous considering that I am just 24, and for a lot of people out there, they'll still see me as a young person. And it's not like my body hurts all the time. Although honestly, it kind of is starting to hurt, but I think it has to do a lot more with my arthritis. And yes, I have arthritis at 24. I've had it since I was 10, so I am a little old man, I guess. I'm a little bit fragile. But I think the feeling it stems more from the fact that everything around me is just reminding me that I am getting older now. My brother is about to turn 20. My sister is about to have her quinceanera. My dad's about to turn 50. So it's like everything around me is just reminding me that, Eduardo, you're not the 7-year-old kid that used to just go around and play Pokemon cards or video games all day. It's not. Now I have a grown up job where I sit in an office all day and just look at a screen. So it's somewhat boring, but it's a good job. It's just like everything around me is reminding me that I'm getting older, and that is upsetting, I guess. I think the latest thing that's hinted at me getting older is, it's gonna sound super ridiculous, but Attack on Titan, it ended, and with it, I want to say that a little bit of me died that day, the day of watching the last episode, because like even though I wasn't there from day one, I watched it still when I was relatively young. And now that so many years have gone by and the last episode aired and I saw the end screen instead of, the to be continued, it hit a little bit. Besides the ending, besides the characters and the arcs, it was more so the fact that in my life it was an arc ending, the arc of watching the show. And I don't really get attached to shows that often. I really don't. Like, I grew up watching all sorts of different TV shows, not just anime. But this one stuck with me. It really did. It really did stick with me. And now it's done. And I think the reason why it hit me just a tad bit was there are things that I do in my life to just bring me back to the less stressful times, the less, when you were a kid and you didn't really have to worry about bills or working or any of that stress. It was usually, you thought you had problems as a kid. You really did. You would make up problems in your head thinking that stuff was bad, but in reality, you had it pretty good. You didn't have to worry about much. Your parents usually would take care of you. At least that was my case. And yeah, seems like I just been getting really nostalgic about stuff like that. And I guess one of the show was one of those things that whenever I would sit down and watch a new episode, it would just bring me back to then. Just like even now, what's going on right now with like Fortnite, and the OG Fortnite coming back, playing it now just brings me back to a simpler time, and it's that escapism that I think a lot of us try to pursue, and try to find things that just take us out of our real world situation now, what we're going through right now, but starting to finally fully realize and starting to fully come to my senses that I am not that guy anymore. I'm not that kid anymore. I will still have some kid tendencies in me. Nobody's gonna get rid of my Pokemon cards. I'm still gonna keep those forever. But it's not the same anymore. I can't force myself. I can't keep thinking that I am 11-year-old Eduardo, 7-year-old Eduardo. I'm not. I have to move on. I have to keep going. And even though, I'm kind of portraying it in as a bad thing, it's really not, because like I once I leave that escapism and I go back into the reality that I live now, I'm able to see the progress and everything that I've been able to build and to lead me to where I am now. And I have to acknowledge that things aren't that bad, even though there are a lot more things that I have to worry about, not just in my life, but in my family's life. Because as the oldest, you kind of just kind of born with extra responsibilities, you know, especially now that we're all becoming adults. Like my siblings are becoming adults now, and you kind of want to look out for them. And my parents are getting older, and you're starting to worry a lot more about like, did they save money? Do they have a retirement account? Like, who's gonna take care of them when they're old and they can't work anymore? You know, and like you start looking at your brother and your sister's life to see is like, are they on the right track? Do I need to push them more? Do I need to help them more? What can I do to make sure and guarantee that they have a successful future? As the oldest, I tend to think about that stuff a lot. So it takes up a lot of mental capacity because it adds on to everything else that I have to worry about my life, my relationships, my bills. So I tend to try to find these things that help me escape. And I'm starting to run out, man. I'm really starting to run out. You know, video games don't hit the same. Even though I've been trying to get back into them, I bought so many video games last Christmas thinking that I was going to have all the time in the world to be able to just play and bring me back to when I was a kid and I would just play hours and hours of video games, but they just don't hit anymore. Shows that I used to watch and enjoy a lot doesn't hit the same anymore. I have a girlfriend, and when we eat dinner, we tend to watch a show. You know, we talk a lot during the day, so we kind of know each other's lives already fairly well. I mean, we live together, right? So we tend to watch TV. I know it's not the best habit to have, but it's whatever. We watch TV when we have dinner, and I tend to suggest a lot of shows, cartoons actually, from my childhood. She brought that up. She brought that I tend to watch a lot of cartoons. This is the reason. This is the reason because it brings me back to when I was a kid. You know, it reminds me of just waking up Saturday mornings and turning on the TV and watching the good old cartoons. You know, not the crap that exists now on TV. Back then, they did dumb it down for you, and a lot of the shows actually had pretty good stories. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I tend to watch and lean towards suggesting a cartoon more than anything else, more than any of the adult shows that exist now. But it hasn't been hitting the same anymore. It gets to a point where you've seen the shows enough times where there's nothing that surprises you anymore. You have no idea how many times I've seen regular show, but it doesn't hit anymore. And even things like, I don't know, just I know 10-year-old Eduardo would have been mind blown by seeing like this office. You know, this like it's an office slash like gamer room. I have my PC here where I try to play video games when if I have time. Like that, he would have been so. He would have just blown. His mind would have just been blown because I don't think 10-year-old Eduardo would have ever imagined that I would have these things and be able to have access to any video that I wanted or be able to purchase any video game that I wanted. But he would be very disappointed at the fact that even though I have access and can buy any of those video games, I really don't have time to sit down and enjoy it. So, yeah, everything around me is reminding me that I'm getting old. And here in a year, I'm about to turn 25, and I'll be halfway through my 20s, and that is a very scary thought for me because it also reminds me that everyone around me is also getting old. I have young parents compared to a lot of people around me. My dad's barely about to turn 50, and I'm about to turn 25, so if you do the math, he had me at 25, and my mom had me at 19. So my parents are relatively young. Someone the other day said that I grew up with my parents since they had me so young. We kind of grew up together. And I guess I see their point. I never really saw it that way, but if I really think about it, in retrospect, yeah, it kind of, yeah, I kind of did grow up with them, or they kind of grew up with me, I guess. We were kind of figuring stuff together. But, you know, now I actually see them getting older, and that's a scary feeling. It's a scary feeling seeing your parents actually start looking older. You know, I always knew they were older, but now they're getting to that age where, like, damn, they don't have much time left on this earth. Fingers crossed they do, but what you gonna do? That's just how life works. So like, I still don't see myself that way. I still am hoping that I have a long time on this earth, but like my parents now are getting to that age, and that's just another thing that reminds me that I'm getting older. And yeah, I'm not trying to sound like I have a quarter life crisis or anything like that. It's just more so like it's crazy. Like one day you're totally fine, you're minding your own business, thinking that everything is fine. You're so young, you have so much to live for, and then the next day you find out your baby brother is turning 20. Like that kind of blows my mind. It does. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. It's just the truth, and I can't. I'm still processing, as you can see. It's hard to swallow that. It's hard to swallow that everybody around you is getting older, which then makes you older. So, and then moving forward, there's really nothing you can do except, hoping that you're making all the right choices and you're doing everything you want to do, and hopefully you end up living your life with as little regrets as possible, because, well, I mean, that's really all we got. We're on this planet for an X amount of time. We don't really know when our time is over, and the best thing that you could do is try to live your life the best you can and to try to just pursue happiness, whatever that may be. And that's how I'm trying to live my life now, trying to do that to the best of my abilities. But life's also, life happens too, though. So, and life's a bitch, and it can get in the way of that happiness. So it's a game. It is a game. We are living the game of life, and it's just a matter of being able to make the right choices and hopefully selecting the right options that will keep progressing you to the next level, instead of accidentally fucking up and getting sent back to the start. So yeah, that's all I really got. Bye.